It's Monday morning and your week's already packed with meetings, an executive update, a stakeholder review, and a team stand-up. Same project, 3 different conversations, and 3 reports that all say the same thing in different ways. But what if you didn't have to start from scratch and do everything by hand each time? Think of it this way. At the core of any project report is the same data about tasks, milestones, and deadlines. Whether it lives in Excel, MS Project, or anywhere else, you just have to shape it for different conversations. That's why the smartest workflow takes that single, detailed data source and then uses it to automatically generate a visual timeline that you can then tweak in a few minutes to fit each audience's specific needs. Bonus points if the timeline stays connected to the data for easy updates when dates start shifting. Here's how that looks in practice. You start with your master project plan. Then, you connect it to a tool that can do that automatically, like Office Timeline does inside PowerPoint. Open the Office Timeline ribbon and click on New, then Import Data. You can connect to all of the previously mentioned tools, so for this video, let's assume that our data is stored in a Microsoft project file. Make sure the columns are mapped properly, and select the items you want to include in the visual. Finally, click Import. An Office Timeline will automatically generate a proper timeline for you. Before we move on, let's also apply a theme to change the way the visual looks. Then open up the Style pane to quickly do some final tweaks. Now let's focus on adjusting this visual for each of our specific audiences. When you're reporting to executives, less is more. They care about direction, milestones, and impact, so they don't need to see every task or dependency. So let's hide all of that, starting with the dependency links, then all of the detailed tasks, and finally fix the way the timeline looks, so it's in line with the changes we made. This keeps your timeline focused on major phases and key deliverables execs care about. Next, let's say our original project data included information about how much of each task has been completed, and that we mapped that column during the import process. Let's use that data to highlight what work has been done by enabling the percentage complete highlight for our tasks. And let's also enable the elapsed time and today markers, so that we can see at a glance where the project stands against its overall goal. Remember that you can add relevant text around the timeline too, but take care not to clutter the slide. And this is pretty much it for the exec report. Think of it as telling the story of the project at 30,000 feet. Clear, confident, and strategic, without the messiness of the detailed day-to-day activities. Next, let's focus on the timeline for stakeholders. The focus here shifts from the big picture to what directly affects them: deliverables, dependencies, and potential risks. What they want to know is how the project's progress impacts their goals or timelines. So, let's duplicate our executive overview slide to use as a base and change its title. Now, let's add back the missing items and dependency links to our new timeline, then hide any of the items that are no longer relevant. You can also use swim lanes to group items by ownership or department, and move items around for a clearer visual. This helps make responsibilities and cross-team impacts easy to spot. Tweak the existing slide text and use callouts or simple annotations to highlight risks or dependencies that might require attention. You can also adjust the timescale to show weeks and quarters alongside months for a more granular view. Overall, what you need to keep in mind for stakeholders is that they need it to be easy for them to spot and understand the items that have an effect on their own work. Finally, let's build the version for your team, the people actually involved in the day-to-day work of the project. Here, the focus is on clarity and coordination. Team members need to see what's coming next, and whether anything's at risk of slipping. Again, we'll duplicate our previous slide to use as a base. Let's focus our visual on the near term by hiding items that have been done a while ago or that aren't due for any time soon. This has the effect of zooming into our timeline and showing a clear picture on what the team needs to pay attention to now. Finally, adjust the swim lanes and tweak the layout so that the visual makes more sense for the way your team's tasks are assigned. And adjust the text on the slide. Now you've got a version of the timeline that helps your team track deadlines and dependencies. This way, everyone knows what's next and how their work fits into the bigger picture. Now, remember that we mentioned easy updates when dates shift? Well, as long as you first update the data of your master project plan, you can go to the Office Timeline ribbon and press Refresh Data to automatically reflect that change in the visual. And that's how you can turn one project plan into multiple reports that actually speak to their executives, stakeholders, and teams, all without duplicating work each time. By building from a single source of truth, you keep every update consistent, every report aligned, and your workflow a lot faster. If you found this video helpful, tell us about other topics you'd like us to cover in the comments down below. And if you want your own audiences to love the reports you create while also saving up to 4 hours of work each week, you can try Office Timeline for free by going to the Office Timeline webpage. Thanks for watching.